We are live. Let's see, it's 5:30. Let's get in order. Number one, public comment. I know we have a letter.
We do. We have a letter today. Today, a student brought this to me and asked that it go to our board. I let her know we have a board meeting tonight and that I would be happy to share it. So I will read. I don't like how the dress code is set. I think I should be able to wear what I please. It's unfair how I'm apparently harassing people with what I want to wear. Just because my shoulder is showing or my cleavage doesn't mean I'm harassing anyone. People can control their eyes. I'm not forcing anyone to look at me, but I have to be forced to cover up. If a flat-chested girl was wearing the same shirt as me, it wouldn't be a problem. I understand not being allowed to have drugs or alcohol in clothing because it's not appropriate, but crop tops? Guys can wear spaghetti strap shirts, but I can't because it looks like a bra. I think that's sexist and unfair. As long as my underwear isn't showing and I'm not showing up to school in a bra, I don't think it should matter what I wear. I'm human, I have rights just like everyone else, and I think I should at least have the right to wear what I please. If people can't control their eyes, then I don't think I should be the one getting talked to. What's not appropriate is the fact that I'm not allowed to wear what I want, and that's an issue here, and I think it needs to change. So she was told if she wanted change to write it down and advocate for herself, and that is what she's doing.
Well, she's pretty articulate, let me say that, first of all.
And we never have public comment, so I know that the board isn't expected to discuss it at all, but I will tell you that we as a staff are going to be discussing the dress code and reviewing it and talking with the kids about it, so.
And, that's a tough concept because I've taught self-defense for years. And people say, the women I would teach would say, well, I should be able to go into any bar that I want to. Theoretically, probably. Is it reasonable and safe? Probably not. So, good luck.
We have a dress code in our student handbook, so it is our own, but it is based off of Fernridge's dress code. We went with that, and it's very, very similar. But we can change it. If we did, it would come before the board because the board approves the handbook. So any changes in it would come before you before they were put into practice.
Do you know how it's different?
I cannot remember off the top of my head. It's very, very similar though.
Yeah. And boys can wear spaghetti strap shirts.
Well, I suppose they could. I've never seen one, but if a boy walked through the door in a spaghetti strap shirt, I wouldn't have an issue. Don't have an issue with a girl wearing a spaghetti straps or shirt. So that wasn't the issue today. I feel like that might be what she took away from it, but that itself wasn't the concern.
Does the policy just read undergarments must be covered?
Yep, that's exactly what it says.
That's what most of them say.
Yep.
Like that's,
Yeah.
Right on.
it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. Like that's. pretty
I know that over the years, schools have really come
Yes.
back and been a lot more.
Walked a lot back and
Yeah.
just kind of keep it very simple.
Mhm.
A paragraph.
Yeah.
Really is all it is.
You don't want to be real specific and
Yeah.
nitpicky because it's
Yeah.
just, for one, you don't want to enforce real specific and
Yeah.
nitpicky.
And how you don't want to have different gender
Exactly.
specific attire.
And it
So-
just says underwear, undergarments.
So if a guy wanted, or someone wanted to wear a sleeveless undershirt, that would be an undergarment, right?
It says underwear. So I suppose we could specify bra and underpants, but I mean, if a male walked in a bra, I would say that is not appropriate, just like if a female did.
It's a bikini top.
Well, crop tops seem to be a big one, and if it is, I don't see that as underwear.
I don't know what that is.
They're more just, so they show a lot of stomach, depending on how short they are, which is very much in fashion. That's what you see in the stores. And those we do allow.
Oh, you do?
Well, we look forward to hearing what you and the staff do.
We've started what the teachers call Tuesday talks. So every Tuesday afternoon, They just sit round table back there with the kids and talk about whatever topic the kids want to talk about. And it's just a factual conversation. And I think that we may ask if they want to talk about dress code, not just at school, but in general in society. And that may be a Tuesday talk if the kids are interested. We don't force them on any topic. It's really up to them. They've been amazing. And we've actually had kids starting to come on Tuesday afternoons just to take part in it. So,
So that's very good.
yeah,
Because you can extrapolate that,
yeah,
just
it's
in life in general.
even like election day was a Tuesday. So they didn't all understand the electoral votes and just how the whole process worked. And great questions were asked. And their perspective on things was great. A lot of them thought 18 was too young to vote. They said, we don't feel ready. We don't feel we know enough. And no opinions from anyone is given, just so much as just their thoughts. And we're going to talk
Do
about
they teach government in school here?
it. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm. Government is a graduation requirement.
okay.
But that
Very good.
like that is like a fourth grade curriculum topic, and so I think they may forget. And then government is more junior, senior year, so they get a review of it, but so not all of them have had it yet.
And it's pretty like surface level when they get it in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like, they don't talk about the electoral college.
Right.
That might be too
I know,
Yeah.
for sure,
Like a fourth
for
grade.
sure. Well, good for her for following the
Yeah.
process and
Yeah.
No, I
submitting the
actually-
letter.
I
Like,
think
I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, good for her.
Well done.
Oops, don't touch that.
Yeah.
And it was great that the meeting was tonight, so
For
she
sure.
didn't have to wait, and I could
Yeah.
just
It's
immediately.
great.
It's my first public comment in 4 years.
It's great.
I'm excited.
Good for her. I'm glad it was a student. It's great.
Agreed.
Good guts.
Alrighty, seeing nothing else on public comment. Number 2, administrative reports. 8 minutes, the financials, see Ron.
I don't know, something was going on with your worksheet on month to date, year to date, year to date, 2024 column was 0 balance.
And which spreadsheet?
The month to date, year to date comparison.
Oh, that could be, because I have to recreate it every time.
The information's there on your sheets, which is just fine.
Oh, the very top header, I'll change that, yeah. It was a previous year copy paste to keep the numbers from 2023, and I didn't catch that header, I'll change that.
And maybe, so our ADMs were up, maybe I don't understand why, but the SSF
Mhm.
was down. So it's for October.
Yeah, and I think too, like, our numbers fluctuate very much over the month too. And the number that I put in the ADM is what our end of month total is, but it does fluctuate, like last, 1 month we might have 96 kids, but at the end of the month, we have 90 kids is what I report on. So I think that's probably why that fluctuates so much.
Got the calculation.
The calculations for,
And then isn't like what we got in October, the September, based off of September's ADM?
I believe so.
Which
So,
would be
and it
for
looks, when I
September.
looked at the history, just because I'm not as familiar with the ADM and how that incoming check works, it usually typically is pretty high in October and then starts to come down and then will fluctuate back up towards the end of the year, so.
That makes sense.
Well, it has a whole spreadsheet with tons of calculations based off of IEP students, poverty levels, all this stuff, so that plays into the payment as well.
I've never understood the big black box.
It's just, it's a
And
tough
our-
one to explain.
We're trying to kind of watch how it plays out, but with the renewal of our contract, the way we are paid for IEP students is different based off of the new contract. And so I think that we'd be getting a little less for that than we have in the past. It's based more, honestly, more accurately with what the district's getting. We were getting quite a bit extra. They weren't capping us at 11% like the district is capped, so we were getting double ADM for all of our sped kids. Now they're capping us, which they are capped, and so it's fair.
That makes sense.
On the ADM report, it's nice to see that the average student attendance is still up.
Yes.
So very good.
This has been fairly good, and currently we have 92 students enrolled
That's great.
as of today.
Is that a high or is that?
It's a high since I've been here. I don't think it's an all-time high. I think they've been in the 110s before. Above 110.
So we came up in the minutes, and I don't know, Darcy, if it's the right place, but the very last sentence in the minutes, we were talking about the academy. You mentioned about buying a washer and dryer. But how would that impact? Would you see a bump in attendance with kids?
That's
coming
funny
in?
that you say that. So yeah, that's one of the things one is to help with life skills type things that a lot of our kids don't have and need. And then two, giving the option of clean clothes for kids that don't have it, we're hoping might help improve attendance because they're more comfortable being in school if they have it.
Yeah.
And so that's a long story, but it looks like we're gonna possibly get a washer and dryer donated from Lowe's. And I sent out multiple grants to help with some of the construction that would need to happen to put it in here. So we're waiting to hear back on that.
How do you think that, if they don't have the skills to be doing it, what kind of impact that can have on staff? If the kids are always asking about how to do this, how to do that.
The staff wants it desperately. They want to be able to give those kids the skills to be able to take care of themselves in the world. And arguably more important than some of the academics. Like we need both and those skills. And so yeah, staff we don't have a lot of kids on site. And so you're not looking at huge numbers of kids using it, but the ones that do use it, it makes a difference for. And staff is excited to.
Yeah, if you have any McKinney-Vento kids,
We
I mean,
don't.
that's, kids, they don't have access to that anywhere in our community. And so when I was in middle school, kids would bring laundry in and we would do it there.
Yeah.
And it was just something that,
Yeah, we have a lot of McKinney-Vento.
Yeah.
kids.
We did have
Yeah.
a high school as well. I was there.
Yeah.
So laundry, soap, things like that. Or just on the spot budget for that?
We probably would, yeah. Or use some of like the Kiwanis gave us money last year, they're gonna give us money again this year, they've already talked to me. That could be something that money was set aside for a portion of it. I don't think we'd go through a lot of laundry soap, but probably in the budget in the cleaning area.
I don't see I've gone through
No,
thousands of dollars of.
plus it would be nice for us to just have a washer and dryer. We have a kitchen, we have towels and rags, and I take them home and wash them. We had a major leak the other day. All of our towels I need to take home. I forgot about it. Take home and wash them. It rains inside here too.
Sometimes.
It's pretty cool. Like,
I had a house like that once.
poor girl that was sitting under it didn't think it was so funny, but
Make your outfits hard.
Yeah.
Well, at the chairman's discretion, I would
Yeah.
move to approve the minutes and the appropriate approaches for number one, the financial approaches 2 through 4, and enrollment for number 5.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Number 3, old business, annual review of the bylaws.
so last month we brought these up to do, and Rick had some questions, so
I feel very guilty. I'll start calling under the table.
all Rick's fault, no. So I sent them to the attorney. We have a different attorney than we had last year that helped us create all these bylaws. She retired and we're with another firm now. There's really only 2 firms in the state that do charter schools. So one retired, she recommended the other, and I didn't have a lot of options to choose from. They're very well regarded. So he had some suggestions of sections that we didn't even ask about. He really, in general, thought ours were pretty good. He said that nothing in there was glaringly like out of line. So he clearly agreed with her. He just had different wording for some of it. But, and Rick and I talked about this earlier today too, in some of the questions that we asked, so my page numbers are all off, but 4.3.1. He recommended that we take out the last sentence where it says at the time of adoption, we have however many board members. That way we don't have to amend them annually. I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
it's,
if you would
I,
agree.
when I read through his stuff, I thought most of the stuff he said made a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, it's just just get rid of that sentence.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because we say above there that we can go from no less than 3 to 7.
Right.
So what we had at the time is irrelevant. This will come up later, but 4.5.2, the resignation. So any director may resign. Oh, this is where it came. So the question Rick had was about assistants,
Yeah.
assistant secretary, assistant treasurer. And so when in this section of resignation, if the secretary was to resign, we would appoint the assistant secretary. He's recommending, or I guess I'm recommending, we just take out that, take out the assistant secretary, take out those later on when we get to them. We don't have them. You don't have to have them. Because if the secretary was to resign at that time, we could just appoint someone else. That seems like a lot of extra positions that you don't really need.
Because you have to go through, if they're in there, you have to go through and appoint them every
Right.
year.
Right.
Right.
And they're superfluous, really, like they don't, so
So
we
just
don't have them.
strike, and I guess I missed that initially when we approved them last year that it said assistant, because I've never seen. Okay, take out assistants, and then the next section is all green. This was just a section where he said he liked the specific reference we have to all of the ORSs, but his I don't know if it's his recommendation, his suggestion is to, rather than do that, because then that holds us accountable anytime any of those change.
Right.
We have to, I'll be honest, I'm not paying attention to all those
You have to go in and
ORSs
redo that
and
if they're
redo it every
specifically
time they
stated.
change and to
Mhm.
know every time they change. Whereas he just suggested some language of just spell out what each meeting, special meetings look like, emergency meetings look like, rather than referencing the ORSs. I kind of like that because I don't want to miss it and then be
Right.
held
They do
accountable.
change
But
periodically.
they do, and I'm
Yeah.
not watching to see when. So
Right.
I will if I need to, but if we switch to what he recommended language-wise, then it's just a little more generic, I guess.
That makes a
So
lot
that
more
really
sense.
starts at the 4.6.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
green language of
Yeah.
So
ORSs.
take out the green and
ORSs.
put in the red that he suggested, which just doesn't put the law.
Well, because
doesn't
then you have
quote
to have
the
some,
law.
you have to have somebody sitting there.
Yeah.
Every legislative updates every year, and I mean, because they can change any month, any day, anytime. So if you don't have somebody specifically watching the legislation.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then 4.13, the conflicts of interest. He said he liked ours. He gave us a suggestion of his. I like ours. It's much more concise
Yeah.
and he said, I like it. So he just showed us the way he wrote it, but it wasn't saying it all.
Yeah, his was long.
Okay, so here is the real
Yeah.
give me a headache one.
You're starting with 5.4.
Yes.
So, like,
So-
the director would- Yeah.
Yeah, so the chairman of the
That's a lot.
board, the director, so he, and I've read this 47 times, and I looked
Mhm.
back, and the attorney last year also said the same thing. This chairman of the board language that we have is pretty common, and that is what most charter schools use. Even though, as Rick said, most of those things under that are the things that I do. And he said, yes, but there's nothing that states that the chairman of the board can't delegate those to the director. And so I guess the question for you guys is, do you want to change that to this very simple chairman of the board basically runs the meetings and change?
Which is all under his, like, the sample descriptions.
Yeah.
That's what we recommend.
And change section 6, his sample, from president to director. So that would change a little bit of the wording in there if you did it where it says presidents, but but there's also section 10 that is the executive director, which
I'm not tracking with you. So his new is section 6, is the executive director.
no, he has it in 10 of his. So we would just take out section 6 because we don't have a chairman of the board and a president. We just have chairman of the board, which combines, our current chairman of the board combines his section 5 and 6.
Yes, I get it.
So I'm still a little confused. So under his sample, section 1 is what we think the chairman of the board roles and duties reflect correctly. The section 2, though, the president, I read through there and it's like he's combining still a position with the chair acting as the president and CEO, but that is the executive director. Section 2 to me is the executive director.
And see, at the very end, he has executive director.
Right, so would you get rid of section 2? The president shall be the principal executive officer of the corporation and the chairman of the board of directors. I mean, we have it stated above is the chairman of the board.
And so in our current language, 5.4 talks about chairman of the
Chair.
board. It combines his first 2 sections, basically what we have. Your board chairs is essentially described and would be the president. That said, there's nothing that would prohibit the board from delegating the duties described to the executive director. And that's what the attorney last year said too, is it is all listed under chairman of the board, but then the chairman of the board can delegate those duties to the executive director. I'm not sure why they both recommend that, but that's the way they both
I mean,
recommended it
then
be
you
written.
have to do that annually, or you have to do that when you elect officers? You're gonna
I think
delegate,
it's
or-
just, it's in the bylaws, and so it is delegated.
I find. So I'm reading from the new printout on page 15. I don't have the old bylaws in front of me, but what his sample descriptions, so he's given under on page 15, section 1, under his sample descriptions, you have a very 3-sentence definition of the chairman of the board. It's not combined with anything else. I don't see why section 2 just doesn't go away and all that is covered under the executive director, whether that's section 6 or section 10.
Which is, so then take out what currently is under executive director and put that instead?
No, it's the executive director is just a standalone. Well, why do we need even section 2? I don't
Okay.
get why we need that. It's just the
Is that
president
the
shall be.
president?
The president shall be the
Which I'm
principal
fine with
executive
that.
officer of the corporation and the chairman of the board. I just don't see, it's confusing. It's not correct.
And we can, but that's up to you.
I mean, I guess I'm still,
No, I get
it's,
it.
So just take out
Take
president.
out president,
Just take out that whole section.
because the duties are covered under
Executive
the
director.
executive director.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then what about vice president,
I would change that to just say vice chair.
vice chair? Yeah.
Yeah,
since we use
on his
chair and,
section 7.
yeah, we use chair instead of president, vice president.
I suppose they might have wrote it that way because there are some organizations that do use all that
Could be.
language. I don't know. It was confusing when I read it today.
And I do think that a lot of
It is
nonprofits are president and vice president.
Mhm. Which
Right.
we could call it that too if we wanted over chaired. I don't think it
Our
matters.
president.
We don't want that. I do not want that. I do not want that.
I think the title is sort of either or, it doesn't really matter.
Department of Defense, maybe,
the-
but not president.
Mr. President.
I think you better qualify than the guy that's proposing it. Sorry.
No, we should. We apologize, Bill.
So,
Okay.
so if you get rid of section 2, you change section 3 to vice chairman, there is still a reference down there of perform the duties of the president.
Yeah, we would have to
Restricted
change
to the vice
those to
president.
chair
To
and
chair
Yeah.
instead of president.
fix them all the way through. Okay, I can do that. Which, then that takes care of kind of that we would just replace secretary, or no, we wouldn't.
Well, can I just start, instead of using his proposed sample description for vice president, now vice chair, I mean, to be quite honest, our existing 5.5 is really much more descriptive. It's just basically saying, taking
Okay.
over the responsibility of the chairman in his absence.
Mhm.
It doesn't go into that whole long
And it's-
piece of-
Okay, I like that because I do like
Short
it
and
better.
concise.
Mhm. So I'll just put that for vice chair. And then, so for secretary and treasurer, do we want to use his or what we currently have? Secretary shall. If we keep our current, then we do still need to take out assistant secretary, assistant
Mhm.
treasurer.
Yes.
I kind of like his better almost.
You like what?
I like his, they're a little more
A little more.
concise.
Yeah, I don't mind his section 8, section 9, his secretary and treasurer.
Again, changing the president
Yeah.
word out of there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take
I know.
notes.
I am too, and then. Okay, and then remove section 5.8 on the assistant officers, which was really the main
Mhm.
question of all of this when we started,
Yeah.
is do we want assistants? And so just
86.
6
That
point,
keeps it a lot cleaner.
and then 6.2, I like where he said we reference Article 4, but just instead of referencing Article 4, just really putting a simple statement in there that special committees comply with public meeting law.
That's fine.
I,
It's nonsense.
yeah, and it's just easier than having to
They
go
don't
back
outline
and
the whole
forth.
thing.
Yeah.
And it reads easier.
Then 7.1, this was another question that Rick had. At the close of each taxable year, the board shall engage a certified public accountant. He said we could just remove the whole section because we don't have to do that. And apparently it isn't referring to our audit. So we aren't doing that. So either, yes, we want to do it, or we need to take it out of there.
If we're not doing it, be going with it.
Same with the next page, the 2-year cash flow forecast, just remove it. We
So
don't
just
do it.
Backing up to, so section 1 or 7.1 now becomes the charter school requirements. And that
Yes.
touches on all of those.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
Regardless. Financial reporting budget becomes 7.2.
yeah. And so then 2-year cash flow gone. We don't do that. We don't have to do that. We do the budget forecasting and all of that, so that would stay. And pretty much.
And then he's got that indemnification.
And he said that he thought our bylaws appeared to be legally sufficient. He drafted it in different language. I'm indifferent. Ours is shorter, but either one is, I feel like if ours is legally sufficient, then
And he says it's sufficient.
yeah, perfect. Okay, then I will make all the changes and bring it back next month. These are the never ending bylaws.
Right. I don't know anybody that likes to deal with bylaws for any
Rick
organization.
does.
Possibly better than policies.
Yes.
Oh, we
So,
talked
maybe.
about all of it.
Maybe.
All right. Let's go with new business. Let's take it with A. Policy new, first reading, IKJ, artificial intelligence, JFE, pregnant and our parenting students.
So as first reading, you can go through them all at once, or you can go through them one at a time. It's totally up to you. The way that we sent them to you shows in the first reading, shows all the changes. For second reading, we'll clean it up so it just looks like a clean.
I have a question on that one. What is generative artificial intelligence?
It's a good question. And I'm not 100% sure, but I just believe that it generates, like it's on the technology. It will generate the answers.
Like if you say, Google, write me an essay
Yeah.
on
Mhm.
XYZ, it'll write you an essay on XYZ.
You're kidding me.
Oh, no.
No.
You can say, like with ChatGPT,
It's a true
I can
story.
say, I need.
It's a true story. It's a true
With
story.
ChatGPT, I can say, I want a 750 word essay regarding Yellowstone National Park. Please include elk, bison, grizzly bear, and number of tourists per year.
And
in
within
30
5
seconds.
seconds, it's
it'll have you a 750 word
beautifully written.
essay, and then you can say, ChatGPT, please articulate more on the grizzly attacks in Yellowstone.
Please write it in simpler language or
Yeah.
more complex language or
Yeah,
my favorite that
It's
I learned
amazing.
the other
It's
day
amazing.
is
It's amazing.
write
is.
this more passive aggressive. I heard that the other day. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is.
it'll do
Yeah.
It is.
and everything.
It's terrifying, but
Oh, I
also
love it.
very cool.
I
So
love it, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I would recommend playing around with it.
I will.
You'll get to see like
The
what it's
grants I
capable of. It's
wrote-
pretty incredible.
You can draw pictures.
it made
I
me
mean,
sound
it'll do
super
anything.
smart. I mean, I wrote all these grants and said,
Well,
okay,
they're doing
here's the
city
criteria.
budgets
Do I
and
meet all the
Yeah.
criteria with what I answered? And it spits it all back
Yeah.
out.
It just searches the web, and it takes all that data from there and
Seconds.
instantaneous.
You do have to vet it, like you have to make sure it's accurate,
It's
because it
80
does.
They said it's 80% accurate.
You can also take like an email that you got from like, if you had an angry parent, say, or a frustrated parent or whatever, you can say, write me a response to this email, and it will give you a response to that email that will give you tone. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Then you go back in and you wordsmith it a little,
Change it.
change it a
You
little
make
bit
it
to make
you,
yours.
and-
So instead of spending 4 or 5 hours on something, you literally spend 2 minutes.
But the policies around artificial intelligence are going to start coming more and more. Education is going to have to change as a whole to learn how to incorporate it, because it's not going away.
It's the future. It's gonna be in every hour of your life.
And kids know how to use it. And is it plagiarism or is it not? Because you're creating it. So
Well, you're creating
There's
the
a-
idea.
yes,
Yeah.
so
It's not-
that's an argument.
Yeah.
It's a
I say-
huge debate.
I truly say it's not, because you're just looking at a way to find the facts and the figures and.
So teaching kids how to use it,
It's-
teaching kids
yeah.
how to vet it. Is it accurate? Is it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
there's a-
That's the,
They don't know how, they don't
That's
learn
what
through
you
that
hear.
process to critically think
no,
or to write
no.
or to
No.
link, like make a paragraph.
or to differentiate between artificial or fake information and real
Exactly.
information. They don't know how to do it.
Which I believe is the direction
That's-
education's going to have to go.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot like when I was in school and teachers, you need to learn your multiplication tables because you're never going to have a calculator in your hand at all
Right.
times. But I do. And so they have the whole encyclopedia in their hand at all times. So the way they learn and how they learn is just gonna have to be.
I had artificial intelligence when I was in high school. I just had the girls do my homework. I mean, it was kind of the same
Are you
thing.
saying their intelligence wasn't
Yeah.
real?
No, their intelligence was way better than mine. So they would just do my work and I would turn it in.
Yeah.
So this is an early policy, but
It's
more
crazy.
is coming and it's being talked about a lot in education.
Well, if you talk on any recording,
By your side.
talking to AI,
Any live chat, if you're asking a
AI.
question on any website, it's
It's AI.
Mhm.
Everything's AI
Yeah.
now.
I didn't know that. I thought that was like somebody who was like typing back in.
Yeah.
I argue with AI a lot in those situations.
know
I
that.
tell you what, my
For
wife
telling me
uses
the same
it.
thing.
My
Yes,
wife
it
uses
is.
every day.
Yep,
I
I use it a
the
lot.
League of Cities, and we had a workshop, and they did BIN, they did a budget for BIN, like that.
Yeah, instant.
It's a great tool
It
if
is a phenomenal
you
tool.
can use it the right way.
Well, I would go ahead and make a motion to adopt the new policy.
Well, we can't adopt until
The
next,
second
First
reading.
reading.
Yeah.
Okay,
for those,
all
for A and B, for those
So
first
A
readings.
and B,
So anything in A and B we can't adopt, right?
Right.
right.
So I did have a I looked at the graduation exercises.
Mhm.
There was no mention of your GED recipients in there, and I didn't know if they were included.
They
right?
absolutely are,
Yeah.
yeah.
And because I read through it and I was like, oh, okay, it doesn't like specify that they are part of that, that process.
And that's probably because of this comes from OSBA.
Right.
So we could specify if we want to,
Mhm.
but they absolutely are.
Put something in there to include our GED
Mhm.
students, because we fought hard for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a room you set.
We do.
Graduation.
We do. We have it.
So the only board action you need is on the deletion of.
Right,
all-
well, and yeah, Paul, and C, those
C's all-
ARs are just informational
Yeah.
only, which we agreed upon a while back, so just for
Yes.
your information, those have changed.
So we'll
And
come
then-
back to the second reading for A and B, C's information, then D, the deletions is the only one.
And
that'll
so
be-
my understanding from what OSB explained, that most of these are ARs, and they're being deleted because that language is just now included in the policy, so the AR
Okay.
isn't needed.
So like all those sexual harassment ones, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, they're, instead of being an AR, it's now just included in the language of the policy. Which a lot of that came from changes in Title IX.
And this all just comes from OSBA,
Yeah.
right? Like they just say do this.
Yeah,
right?
they recommend, and
Darcy's over in that cubicle, right?
It's like,
watching all of these letters of the alphabet spin
Right.
around.
Yeah,
Do this morning.
that's what they use up there.
I don't know if I can do ChatGPT for that.
You can use it for anything in life. Anything.
Pretty amazing.
Alrighty, so on D, the policy deletions.
You can just approve deleting.
Yeah, we need a motion and a second. Somebody wants to make a motion to delete.
I'll move to delete
Eight under deletions.
the section D, the proof of the these policies that have been put forward for deletion.
All in favor?
Right.
And I will just note that at one point I was told, or the understanding was, if we did not have a policy in the charter school, we would fall back on the district's policy. That is not accurate. We will not. And so I got that from legal counsel and from OSBA, who said no. And I can't even remember why I was asking.
It's a good question though.
But yeah, so it was good to know, and it's just all the more reason that we keep up with this MSBA recommendations.
And then E, removing Sarah Nagy from financial accounts.
So that is just, and it has to be in our board minutes that you either approve it or not, so that we can go to the bank and
And,
get Sarah off and Shauna on. Shauna's on
I'm on.
some,
right,
but
she just let me take her off since she.
there's a
rudely
credit card
retired.
still in Sarah's name that we want to get.
Is she still in town?
Yeah.
Or is
Oh,
she
yeah.
like,
Nope.
She's still
Louise or
coming in,
something
helping
else.
out, answering questions, and
I was at her house yesterday. There's
I talked to her today.
the- So,
Does you need
Yeah,
that? We have a
motion.
motion?
Somebody make a motion to remove Sarah Nagley from financial accounts.
Oh, I'll make a motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And F, integrated programs annual report.
So this is required by statute that, the integrated programs, which was new in '23. So this is supposed to be the first annual report on this that we have to share with the board every year. The first couple pages are just kind of talking about the requirements of reporting and the performance measures that they're using. And then the SIA annual report requirements, we do not qualify as a charter school, virtual, I'll specify, as a virtual school to get the SIA funds. So unfortunately, that one doesn't apply to us. We get high school success and the early intervention grant, which it's under $200. High school success is a large grant, super, super important. So the annual report, the narrative one, and I'm not going to read it all, but this is kind of where we are and what we've seen progress on or where we still need to work. So narrative one was what we thought was going well. We've got more CTE opportunities with the hiring of another CTE teacher this year. Attendance rates, we haven't met that 3% annual increase, but we are ticking up slightly. And so I'm going to take that. Graduation requirements, we are going up steadily, and that has been amazing. And I don't foresee any reason why that won't continue this year. We're already having kids complete GED. Kids are on track. Our seniors are percentage-wise looking okay. It doesn't change the fact that we just get a lot of kids where school hasn't gone well for them. They're not real motivated. And so to get and look at like 95% graduation rates is not a reality for where we are at this time. But we're going to keep trying to increase those numbers every year. And one of the changes in our board contract was we can get freshmen first semester now.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time as a staff talking about that today. I get better when I can see out that window. So that could give us just kind of a earlier start with some of these kids to try and make success. So our increases are slow, but they are increases.
Take it.
And then the narrative number 2 is kind of more of the barriers and things that we have struggled with. Getting kids motivated, getting kids engaged is a challenge. It's a challenge virtually. So the other challenge that we really struggle with is we're a charter school because we're an option. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to have other, but yet all of the reporting requirements are the same as any other school. So if we get to be different and have a different approach, but we still are supposed to fit in this square, round peg square, it's frustrating if you're going to have all the same guidelines and requirements, but yet you get to do it different. It's sometimes doesn't mesh. And so one of those big ones for us is attendance. And they changed the way attendance was taken in virtual schools during COVID, and it's terrible. And our attendance rates tanked after that because they used to have to come twice a week and you're engaged twice a week. Now it's every day.
And it's every class every day, right? It's not just.
And so virtual is supposed to be flexible. It's supposed to be, if they want to work on Saturday, they can work on Saturday. Well, if they do all their work for the week on Saturday and Sunday, they are absent every day. We can't give them credit for attendance, give them credit for work.
Right.
So I have lots of ideas of how that could be different, but just some frustration in the way that they look at progress. Ours is more in the qualitative, the stories, the individual successes, and not so much in the overall numbers. So that is what we reported. We're working on the same goals for the 24-25 school year, but we've also started then our integrated plan for the next biennium cycle. So we're working on that at the same time we're working on this.
Well, both of them
Good
were
job.
very well done. I thought.
Good job.
I wrote them and I
That's
said, make
right.
this sound.
Let's go with director's report.
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Not
She
much.
wrote it on the 7th. She doesn't really
That
know.
was a long time ago.
Okay, yes, so we have a refrigerator full of turkeys right now, and we'll be cooking those Monday. Kiwanis are picking them up Tuesday. We have kids signed up to help serve Wednesday, and some staff will be there Wednesday. And this is our 4th year. It's awesome. One of my favorite things that we do. Kiwanis is great with us, and any way we can help them is awesome. Holiday Bazaar, which we talked about. So tomorrow or Friday and Saturday here, fundraiser to go back to help our kids, our families in whatever way that we might see come up. So enrollment numbers, like Shauna said, we're at 92. We were at 93 yesterday. We lost 1, but great numbers, just great numbers. And they keep on coming. We silently wish we have a day, just one day without a new student. But we don't wish that out loud because we really want them all and
That's awesome.
more. So, on November 6th, so every year the state, and they did take a few years off after COVID, but the student health survey is given to kids in grade 6, 8, and 11. They can opt out, and we had the majority of our kids opt out, but we did have, I think, 6 take the survey. And those will go to the state that collects all of that data and report out. I think it's spring when they finally have the
So
numbers.
too.
What's it called? Isn't it?
Oregon Healthy Teens.
Yes,
That's what they used to call it.
that's what they used to call it, and now it's
Change
the,
names up.
they
every
did
2
the
years.
student health survey, but
Student
it's
health
always
survey.
Oregon Healthy Teen Survey, which asks a lot of questions about at-risk behaviors for kids. It's anonymous, so they hope that they will be honest. It gives good information of where supports are
I
needed.
always thought it was really interesting.
Yeah,
Do you think they over-report when they self-report, or?
I felt like it was pretty accurate. I mean, I looked at data for that for like 15 years, and I always thought like I thought it was
It's
pretty
pretty
accurate.
accurate.
I thought so for middle school. I
Yeah.
don't know what the high school kids did, but for middle school kids, I thought it was pretty accurate.
things they're afraid to tell anybody. Sometimes they're a little more willing to say it there.
Although I think the first question on it now is, do you want to take this survey? You can say yes or no. Like, is that the one that has? I think that's the first
It
question.
might, yeah, I think it is.
No.
Not feeling it today.
Okay, I did that.
Straight in the mouth, looking for you.
But it is good information.
That is my report. I have a couple of things. The other thing I was gonna report, which we talked about, was the washer and dryer status, and we got a quote on construction way out of our league. So we're gonna go back to the drawing board and see if there's a cheaper way to do it. It was almost $14,000. It's just not gonna happen. We were hoping 5,000 or under. So.
To do what do you need to do?
They were looking at cutting concrete and removing a partial wall to get it to fit, and then we don't have one, or we have 110, we don't have 220 wiring in there. But I don't think we need 220. A lot of the stackables are 110.
Mhm.
Trying to see from Lowe's, the one they want to donate, I'm not sure what it is. He hasn't got back to me yet, so,
Are you using you have to use a contractor?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
I've had stackables in condos and whatnot, and just knowing sometimes that the dryers at 110, they take a
long
Long
time.
time. Yeah, I
That's what I
figured.
did.
So I don't know.
I wonder if Crow's Construction Technology, so the guy that runs that, he's a licensed contractor, it's Kyle Kishin Construction. He does a project, it could be a project, maybe they could do it come out on site and do it for a little cheaper. But, because he teaches, I think, 2 or 3 classes a day over there, and he runs a construction company outside.
I have another contractor coming in Friday, and I'm gonna ask some questions about ways to, there's a utility sink back there. And they were talking about taking it out and cutting out the concrete and creating a drain and reventing. can't we just run the hose
Yeah, is
out
there
the
no
drain
way?
in the utility sink? So I'm gonna ask some questions. They may not be,
A
but
little more red tape than
I
that.
can probably tell you. I can
Not
probably tell you that's
necessarily.
gonna be done.
but
We
yes.
would do it that way.
At my house, sure.
Yeah, we would do it that way. We could do a lot
I
at
think
our
there's a
house.
lot of benefit in us having it. I don't know that there's $14,000 worth of benefit. It's just-
Sure.
I'm not sure that's a wise
Yeah,
use
that's
of our
a lot.
money, so.
That's a lot.
I had to fix 2 little drains on my floor from the coffee shop and it was 4,000.
Yeah, so it may not end up happening. The grants though, if they were to come through, and I've applied for 3 now and there's 1 more that doesn't open up till the first of the year. So if that can work, then I'm not giving up yet.
No.
But
So the kitchen probably has floor drains and bigger drains.
Mhm.
It probably even has,
Oh,
is there
yeah.
anything
They
there
have
that has
220?
220? I mean, we don't want to start tearing apart the kitchen now.
I don't know, but there's no room, it wouldn't, there's no room in there. That kitchen
Under
is
the new
tiny.
culinary program, are we utilizing everything there?
Not currently, no.
You probably have everything in that kitchen maybe.
We also have to be careful because we don't own the building. So making it,
But you might have a drain in there and the 220.
we might, that's a good, yeah. I bet we have the 220 was the
And
stove.
you have to have.
Oh, yeah. If you got a stove, now you got two.
Yeah.
Makes me hesitant though with all of the red tape we've gone through with all of these.
That is true.
It's
So,
like what we'll allow in the kitchen and where it has to be at. And like if we
Right.
threw a washer and dryer in
Yeah,
there,
no,
they
for
would
sure.
be like, you can't have this in here.
Is it a licensed commercial kitchen?
yes.
Well, just use an extension cord.
Yeah. See, run the hose down.
Exactly.
We had our first ever in the history of Westland Charter food service audit today, which was fun. It actually went well. There's a lot of little things and processes that we need to fine tune. We just have never had one before, so we didn't know. We thought we were doing it. And really what she said is the structure's all there. It's just a few little things because it all has to meet the federal guidelines for reimbursable meals, and all meals are free this year to all kids.
Right.
And so because we're a different site, she said that they will be audited every 3 years and we will be part of the audit every 3 years. So we can count on it every 3 years from now on. I
So
wouldn't
this
see
has to
any,
do with our kitchen, this is the food that comes in from.
So even
So-
though they just bring it in and serve it here, they have to come inspect your.
so
Interesting.
they do a health inspection of our kitchen. And then today it was the whole process of how we serve it and how the kids
okay.
order what they want. And is it a complete meal? Well,
Right.
the high school puts it together in a bag and we have it in their bag. And it seems really simple for the 3 kids that had lunch today. So there's a lot of process that is gonna go into that, and it took all day today, and it was a lot. But really, all in all, it's not gonna be a big deal once we get that
Once it all is in place.
all, once it's all in place, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
There's so many hoops that the federal government wants for it to be. And they have to be served a complete meal
Yeah,
to be reimbursable, but they don't have to eat it.
they don't have to eat it,
They just have to take it.
and they can give part of it away, and they can do whatever. Yeah.
There is a basket on the table back there for so much fruit.
Yes.
Because guess what? They don't eat their apples and oranges.
Apples and oranges.
But we can have a little community no thank you basket, and if
Yep.
somebody else wants it.
Yep.
They want the main entree and they don't care about the fruits and vegetables, and
Yeah.
most of the time they don't care about the milk.
Yep.
They
Oh,
just
right.
want their
Right.
cheeseburger, their pizza, and
Yeah, we had a lot of milk hanging around
Yeah.
my school.
Yeah.
let's see. Before we do our very last thing, I will put this on, there's 2, but they tie together. I'll put this on next month's board meeting, but I just went to the annual charter school conference. And one of the things I learned, and this was a hot topic amongst charter schools, is the live streaming of our board meetings. It is required by law. It is a semi-gray area if charter schools fall under that law. Attorneys believe we do not.
Interesting.
ODE has not taken a stance yet. OSBA believes we do not, the way the law is written. For transparency, we figured it out. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't, but I would like the board to
Yeah.
decide that, so I will put it on next month's agenda for you to vote on. The second part of that law that is applied to us is you have to do a public meeting law training.
With us?
Every board member
Every
has
board
to do
member.
it once in your term. So OSBA is creating those trainings right now. They will provide them. You'll do them on your own time. They're, what I say, 90 minutes? No, 150 minutes. They're long. I've signed up for one in January, so I will report to you on how exciting it is. But that, and then the
Can we
only
just bring in beer and pizza and do it all at one time together?
Gosh, I love that.
The only other training then that's required, from what I can gather, is the mandatory reporter training. So Shauna will send you all an email, and that has to be done annually by board members.
That'll be a hot topic.
Yeah.
Especially with St. Helens.
So it's, I don't
Is it
remember
the same
how
one that
long.
I do as
Yeah.
an employee?
Yeah, and so if you've done it, just
Yeah.
give us your certificate.
Oh,
No, I think you should have to do it
I think
twice.
that's gonna be.
I
a
can
hot
pass it without even taking the
I
class.
do,
Mandatory
every year,
report.
Bing, bing, bing.
every year.
Especially with what's going on.
Which is good, because it means you know the stuff.
Know the stuff. Yep, I can just,
Wow,
I've been doing it forever.
wow, wow, wow. That's all I'm gonna say about
Right? I know that.
that. Wow, wow. Just gonna say that right there. Anything else, ma'am?
Other was added just at the last.
Yeah,
You got
so the
this
one last
figured
thing on
out.
other
Yeah.
is the board terms, and this came up in reviewing the bylaws. Board terms are 2 years. We just sort of keep on rolling. We haven't really looked at that, so now we know when everyone started. Sorry if you're 2 years into it and you're still
So
here.
yours expired in January. and
What?
So, everything, any reference to President and JR term is gone.
Yeah.
So I have reached out and asked the question if at the 2-year expiration, do we have to open it up? Or can you just, because you're not elected,
Right.
you're appointed.
Right.
Do you have to open it up, or can you just say, I would like to do another term? I'll get the answer back, but I also would like to give those of you who have
Opinions?
the opportunity to say, hey, I'm out of here like a year ago. And I suppose you have the choice to say you want to open it up to reapply and to put it out there. People aren't knocking down our doors to be on our board, unfortunately.
Because we're at 6 right now.
I know.
Well, so the question is, so when JR's term would come up in January 2022, would staff go ahead and put out a notice that we have
This is open.
a vacancy, and of course JR could reapply.
Right.
And go ahead and select.
So then what happens if you have 2 people then? It's not an elected position. Is it the
Board
board that
appoints.
decides?
Mhm.
Yeah, board appoints.
And do you have to do that, or that's just an option?
That's what I've
That's the
asked.
question you're asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
do we have to do that, or can JR just say, I would like to continue on for another 2-year term, and we don't have to put it out there, and
Yeah.
so
Or people just say you're gonna continue.
there's that too. It's just not
Or
an
they have the
option.
situation of like Robbie, who she gets all of her book club friends to be on the board, and they just say, yeah,
Yeah.
every year we want to just keep renewing because we have fun getting together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you can't ever get rid of the
That's
bad
true.
apples if you don't.
If you don't.
open it.
If you
We
don't
don't
open it outside.
No, this
I'm
is
picking
you.
on you.
This
Who's
is
the
you.
bad? who are you
Robbie,
referring to
I
as a
think
bad
Rick just
apple?
said you were a bad apple.
Oh, I've called her a lot worse than that.
So that we have this under other, but we could put it on next month's agenda too, to make that decision of how we want to do that, and I would have the feedback then from.
Yeah, let's bring it back next month,
Does that-
so you can give us
does
your
that mean that
feedback. And we can
JR and Rick and I were expired?
expired, bring out the white sheet.
We surpassed our expiration.
Or we could just say that your new term started and you're a year through it already.
Yeah, whatever.
But then we can, Sean and I can put this on out their calendars to notify us when those terms come up. So we don't get back in this
When do
position.
you present to the Furler School Board?
February.
Is that the one that we there's one where we go to that, right?
Yeah, that's
It's like a
February.
joint, it's like
Yeah.
a joint meeting, right? Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go. We just do a presentation. Please go. I love the sport.
Do you want to present?
Even better.
Thank you for volunteering.
I mean, I can, I will talk. about
I
it.
love the
Literally.
sport. I hate to present, but I do it. And last year, we actually, with contract renewal, we were over there multiple meetings in a row. and
Every
it
time
was
you
good.
presented, you did.
You
It
did
was
great.
good.
You did
I think you do great, yeah.
It's just
I
a
feel
really
like
big thing.
Yeah.
Did you pull out guns and threaten them or something?
Just told them if they didn't believe in kids, they shouldn't be on the board.
I remember what you said, and I just, literally, we went and ran, did,
Wish I'd have been there.
That's just honestly, if you don't want it to be this, if you don't want success for all kids, you should be
Yeah.
on the board.
Who do you say that to?
Their entire board.
To the
This
board.
board or?
No.
No, the,
Or their
Over there.
Said if you don't believe in the success for
Well, it
all
wasn't when I was on the board, because I don't remember. you saying
all the
that.
kids in our community, then you shouldn't be on this board. If you're gonna vote against a charter school that helps our kids, you should.
And
be on
they
this
all
board.
voted for us. They've been super
It wasn't being
supportive.
mean, that's what I believe.
Super supportive.
That high school's not for every kid in our community.
and I think that's what Rick and I did from time to time.
No, I agree, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is a tremendous. service.
Public ed doesn't work for every kid.
No.
That's the reality.
No.
That's the reality.
And nowadays, I hate to say it, diplomas don't mean what they used to mean. They just don't. GEDs are just as good.
I'd like to see something, and I don't know if it would be through here, but somewhere here for people that are older to be able to get a GED. I get asked that all the time. when
Lane
I'm-
community has.
Yeah, but they don't,
They don't
people
I know.
from here do not want to go.
Yeah, they don't teach them out here. They used to have that Lane Center.
They did.
They have it in Florence and they have it in Cottage Grove, the adult basic secondary education. And it'd be nice if they did a class out here,
The rural communities
Yeah.
are lacking.
Junction City or here or something, you know what I mean? Just that,
Mhm.
there are people there.
There's something about intimidating to go in
Mhm.
to do that.
And if you go to Lane, like, that's a pretty good.
That's a
place.
lot.
That's
Yeah,
how
it
it
is.
is. You could either go to Lane or you could go to LBCC.
Oh,
It's
that's true.
about-
Yeah.
It's about the same.
It's the
All
same.
those, yeah.
Yeah.
About the same.
That's good. Weren't those LCC centers funded by a vote and bonds? And
I
guess
don't know.
never understood how the
Probably.
school districts just converted them to their own high school use. So,
It just kind of got swallowed up.
They just did.
Just move it in.
Alrighty, good meeting.
Just, you have to do a motion to read.
It is 6:30. So I'm taking a motion.
6:30, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:32.
I'll second.
no, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, once.
Do you recycle this?
I said, "Okay."
Yeah, I'll put a copy in the,
I know.
Thank you.
That's
Good job.
what I said. Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Which is crazy, now that I'm